be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness. Hello and welcome back to From the Edge, September 28th. And I've got some updates for you. So I've been rocking and rolling here a little bit, been working on some things. The first thing is some updates to kind of what we've been doing behind the scenes. So I recently launched the Seeking Greatness community on the website, along with the new website. So if you haven't been to the website in a little while, go check it out. I've made some updates. I've made some changes. I like the way it looks. I think it's a little more professional. I think it's got some neat and different features. So that was kind of a cool little thing that I've been working on the side. For those of you who have never built a website before, that is, it's a process for sure. So if some of the other things that I was doing kind of took a little bit of a break, that's kind of why. I wanted to clean this up. I wanted to start to look a little more professional on that end. Not that the other one looked terrible in my opinion, but I think you'll notice a significant difference when you go to the new website. It's pretty sharp. I'm pretty excited about it. On there, I have a member community now, because one of the big things that I believe in is the power that you get from being a part of a community that's trying to accomplish similar things as you. So for those of you who have listened regularly, I'm sure you've heard me mention the Damn Good Conversations cohort. I was thinking about a community well before that, but that just, in my opinion, hammered home the value and the idea of being a part of a community. So this is a really low cost community. One of the things I really wanted to kind of deliver on this was a low cost option with high value delivery. So on the website, if you go there, what you'll notice within the community is you're going to get access to both of my books. I did launch the pre-sale of Master of the Sea, which is the newest book that I've been working on. For those of you who followed the writing journey earlier on, it's done. It's ready to go. And I'm going to dig a little more into that today as part of what I'm kind of learned from that time. But it is available, so you can order a hard copy, and with that, you'll get immediate digital access. If you want to skip ordering a hard copy, you can just join the Seeking Greatness community, and you get immediate digital access there as well. So you'll get digital access to Be Great and Master of the Sea. I have 17 videos from speakers who presented at the summit. You'll have lifetime access to those videos. I've got one more piece of content on there at the moment, but I'm planning on adding pretty regularly different ways in which more like systems as far as how I do my daily approach, how I segment my days, some of the things that I believe are helpful from a overcoming adversity standpoint, setting goals, being present when it comes to doing your work, and how to more or less set up your day for success. Knock off the hard things first, those types of things, and give you some hopefully easy to digest and apply tools. That's the big thing about this part of the community, that I want that if you're reading those passages, that you're going to get applicable tools that you can add to your day. A lot like if you've read Be Great, the action items at the end. I want to give you things that you can take and use and apply immediately. So also within the community, once I get a handful of people who are committing to doing and being a part of it, I'm going to add a community blog, or not blog, I'm sorry, a community forum. So that way we can all interact regularly, communicate, tell me about what you're going through, tell me about what's going on. I think that together we can all solve the problems that we're facing. You know, no journey's easy. Everybody's got things that they got to get through and work through. The more ears we have, the more voices we have, the easier it is to come up with solutions for some of the things that we're dealing with. But today, what I want to get into primarily is the self-publishing journey. You know, I self-published my first book. I'm self-publishing this book. And, you know, I get a lot of times that, oh, that must be nice. You know, you have full control. And there are definite pluses to self-publishing. There are also definite downsides. So one of the things that I'm really cautious with is calling myself an author. Yes, I wrote 2 books. Technically, I've written 3 books, and I have a couple other manuscripts that are in need of some love, but I don't consider myself an author. I'm a writer. In my opinion, an author is somebody who gets enough support and enough drive from an external company or place, and then they choose to publish that book. I didn't choose to put my book out there in front of people to try to go that route because I wanted to get it out there faster, which is the benefit of the self-publishing route. But I'm very cautious about calling myself an author because I think that the people who are actual authors, who get picked up by publishers or publishing houses and have, you know, big companies backing their product, they deserve that title. Now, maybe if someday one of my books that I self-publish gets to, you know, bestseller list or gets some kind of crazy whatever, yeah, sure. I guess at that point, enough people have validated the work that I've been doing that I would consider myself an author. But that's just a weird terminology thing that I feel like because we've made it so easy, it's almost like everybody gets a trophy, and I don't like that. So that's a little side note. I don't know if it's necessarily important for this conversation, but you know, what's really interesting about writing a book and self-publishing it is the writing part's the easy part. It's what happens next that always surprises me and ends up taking a lot of time is, you know, I hire an editor because I'm not working with a company and because I'm not being a part of a larger firm that's got all of those pieces, I feel like it's important for me to give you the best quality product I can. So I hire an editor, and that takes a little while, so I get to sit on my hands for a minute. And then once I get the notes back, I get to decide how I apply the suggestions for the changes. So I go through that, knock out all those editing remarks, and get through that. But then from there, while I'm going through, I refine some things. I clean up some other areas. I add and communicate back and forth with my editor a little bit more on some of the areas that I'm trying to knock out. And then it gets interesting because all the behind the scenes stuff, all the stuff that's taken care of typically by a publisher or a person who's involved in promoting your book is all on me. So I designed the cover. Luckily, I found some people that I can bounce designs off of, and they've been very helpful as far as giving me feedback and helping me kind of clean some things up. After that, I get to order author proofs. So I get to hold the book in my hand, which is kind of a cool thing. It has like a not for resale on the cover, and that's a little different, but it's a neat way for me to kind of see, feel, hold, and make sure that the book's going to look and feel the way I want it to when I give it to you guys. The other part of this that's really hard for me is the marketing and promotion sides. That's where I honestly wish I had a bigger firm or a bigger company that was helping back this, because marketing and promotions, probably my weakest area. Not a very good marketer, not a very good promoter. It's something for me that that probably relates back to the fact that I won't even call myself an author. You know, I have a hard time with some of those things. So the promotional side for me is a challenge. So if you follow me on any of my socials and you start to see a whole bunch of posts coming out, as of right now, that's the only direction I know to go. So if you want to help me with that, a little retweet, a little share, a little, send it to your friends. That goes a long way, honestly, and what I'm trying to do. the more eyes I can get on the product, the more eyes I can get on what I'm doing, hopefully the faster it becomes something special. The other thing I'm doing right now is I am sending it out to early readers. So I've got a handful of people that I've interviewed on the podcast, people I've made connections with that I think are valuable social proof. So I try to give them a copy and get their hands on it before everyone else. So that way I can start to use their thoughts, their words, their suggestions to help get it out to more people. Because, again, one of the things that's really challenging when you're doing it all on your own is how do I get it into the hands of people who don't know who I am? You know, it's not likely that if you don't follow me, if you don't listen to this show, if you don't, you know, have a connection to me personally, that you're going to find my work. That's another reason why I'm trying to build this community. That's another reason why I'm trying to create a larger circle, is that the only way for me to grow and expand and to develop is to get people who enjoy what I'm doing enough that are willing to share it and put it out there to others. And that's a challenge. That's something I'm working on. And it's an interesting part of this whole growth pattern of being a content creator and putting books, writings, blogs, podcasts, all those things out there and trying to grow those audiences, is how do I get enough people to share what I'm doing without the money and power of a larger company or corporation behind me. So that's a big part of the challenge for me, because as a self-published author, like I said earlier, it is all on me. Everything is up to me. I can choose every direction. I can choose how much money I put into advertising. I can choose all of these different paths and decisions and choices. And I have to more or less test the waters as I go. So I think there is a lot of value in the self-publishing world. I love how easy and fast it is to get content out to people. I think that that's a huge part of the reason why I chose to do it, because when I initially began writing, it was not to sell, hundreds of thousands of books. It was to get my story out there. And if it only got out there to a handful of people and they got impacted by it, great. Ultimately, over time, what I'd love to do is have the number of people I impacted the first time double, and then double again, and then double again. And that's kind of the idea with all this, is that hopefully over time I exponentially get more reach and more impact. But yeah, it's kind of a process. It's kind of what I'm working through, and it's a challenge. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is a lot of people want to write books. A lot of people want to tell their story. And I really recommend that you do that. But understand that the writing part, if you're going to self-publish, or if you're actually going to try to find a publisher, the writing part is the easy part. So if you can't get that going and you can't get that done, it's going to be a long road for you. So find a way to start that process. Find a way to sit down and begin your story. Find a way to create a routine that allows for you to consistently put words to paper and get that part done. Once you get that part done, if you need any help, if you got any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to point you in the right direction and see if I can get you, a little bit closer to your goals of being published. But the first thing, the first step, start writing daily and get that done, and then we'll go from there. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is apparently I left you guys with a cliffhanger with my episode with Joe Ferraro this last Sunday. A friend of mine told me that, hey, I don't know if this was on purpose, but Joe was about to reveal the question of, what's the most challenging thing to asking better questions. And right before he answered, it just randomly cut off. And I was like, well, that's kind of funny. That's a tough little cliffhanger I left you with. So I have fixed that. So if you guys want to go and listen to the last 7.5 minutes, which are actually very, very good, and I apologize for leaving you guys hanging like that. It is up. It's active. It's cleaned up. I finished it. So it should be working and rocking and rolling. But thanks again for tuning in. I really hope you're getting something out of these side episodes with me talking about kind of my journey and what I'm working through. I feel like I've heard good things. People want to know how I work through my process, what the challenges are that I'm facing. I think that that's a very important piece of our growth, is that to acknowledge that, some things are tougher than others, and we're all going to have to battle through those difficult moments if we want to achieve the success that we're seeking. So As always, guys, keep reaching for the stars. Fall flat on your face. Remember, whenever we fall, always get up. Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.